Welcome back to Rock Rough Ruins Games, where I do just that. Compared to some other fighting games, movement is incredibly important in Super Smash Bros. It's a platform fighter after all. The thing is, I'm feeling awfully lazy today, and I don't feel like doing any of that platforming nonsense. In fact, I'm not even gonna lay a finger on that control stick. Can you complete Super Smash Bros. Ultimate without moving? Okay, obviously you can't beat it while literally never moving. I just wanted a clean title. I mean, look at that idle animation. Bad example. Point is, there will always be motion. The actual goal of this run is to complete the adventure mode, World of Light, without using the left stick, right stick, or D-pad during battle. Those are only allowed when we're on the world map or in a menu. Any other buttons are totally legal at all times. Also, we'll be using all of the default controls, no changing those. As for any non-controller related rules, I'm only allowing myself to use any spirits I unlock through playing adventure mode, no going on the spirit board or anything. The DLC fighters are allowed, as well as any spirits and the skill tree. Unfortunately, I'll be playing on normal difficulty because I'm a fake challenge runner. Really though, I just want to save time, and hard mode would likely be more annoying than anything. One final note, reaching the end isn't quite enough today. To deem this challenge successful, we need to complete every single spirit, fighter, and boss battle in the campaign. In other words, we're shooting for 100% completion. I won't be covering every single battle, but there's still a lot to go over. So without further delay, let's hop straight into Battle number 1, Smoky Prog. Without the left stick, you'll be mostly stuck in one spot on the X-axis until the AI decides to attack you. However, most characters do have at least one or two moves that let you move horizontally, but do we have access to any of those moves? There are 5 moves that we can typically use: jabs, grabs, neutral specials, neutral airs, or nairs for short, and surprisingly, forward smashes. Those can be activated by pressing A and B at the same time. In the case of Kirby, smash attacks are what allow for movement. If you're ever uncomfortably close to a ledge, throw out a smash attack to move closer to center stage. Battle number 2, Eevee. And trust me, staying at the center is important. Kirby, and most other characters, have no way of recovering if they get knocked off the map. Battle number 3, Celeste. Sometimes you'll find yourself facing the wrong direction to smash attack away from the ledge. When this happens, you have 2 options. Either take a light hit to get yourself turned around, or in a scenario like this, use a moving platform to carry yourself into a safer position. Battle number 5, Guardian. This is a pretty tricky battle for so early in the game. The Guardian has super armor, making it impossible for it to flinch from your attacks, so it becomes harder to protect yourself. Plus, it starts with 50 more HP than us. To win this, you'll have to find the perfect opportunities to attack and shield most hits. After a bunch of attempts, we come out on top. After beating Guardian, we find ourselves at a split path. The direction we choose to head in is important, as it will determine how soon we can get our hands on some useful characters. I decided the best choice would be to head upwards to Battle number 6, Sheik. This fight isn't too difficult, and with that done, we now have 3 fighters: her, Kirby, and Mario. Of these, Kirby remains the best, and we'll have to use him for a little while longer. Battle number 7, Metal Sonic. A nice aspect of Kirby is the fact that after sucking an opponent, you can get a brand new neutral B. In the case of Sonic, that neutral B is excellent. It homes in on the enemy and allows you to recover, making this an easy victory. Battle number 10, Timmy and Tommy. As nice as it is to have a strategy, sometimes battles will just evolve into complete chaos. When that happens, pray to every god you can think of and hope that you just sort of win. Battle number 11, Annie. Another useful neutral B to steal here. Peach and Daisy have the only counterattack in the game that can be used without directional inputs. With proper timing, Annie will never be able to land any damage on you. Battle number 14, Mii Swordfighter. Allow me to introduce you to the new main character, Jomonathan. His method of movement is his neutral B, Blurring Blade. It does only allow you to move while airborne, but that limitation can be useful when it comes to maintaining a favorable position. Battle number 15, Teddy. On top of being good for movement, Blurring Blade is just an incredibly strong attack. It will typically allow us to finish battles in just a few good blows. Battle number 16, Rabid Mario. Before Jamonathan can go on a rampage, we have to get past this roadblock. This battle takes place on the worst possible type of stage for us, an auto-scroller. Jamonathan stands no chance against the auto-scroll, and after a few dozen attempts with other characters, it was clear no one else could escape it for long. If we want to win this battle, we'll need to end it quickly with a bit of cheese. Using Kirby, hover up to a yellow platform, begin to suck, then hope Rabbid Mario is stupid enough to hop in your mouth. Wait until you're off-screen, swallow Rabbid Mario to send him behind you, then use Neutral Air to send him into the Blast Zone. Battle number 17, Shinibu. Very often you'll find yourself a few inches away from death's door. In situations like this, your only course of action is to panic, mash buttons, and wait for the opponent to be dumb and kill themselves. Battle number 20, Kid. One of the harder spirit attributes to deal with right now at this point in the game is wind. We don't have any spirits that make us immune to it, just resistant to it. Thankfully, you won't ever get blown off the stage, so long as you never go airborne, but that also means we'll be playing most of the game at the very edge of the stage. A single hit could spell certain death, and that's made very clear when we're fighting against 4 separate Marios with baseballs flying around the screen. My successful attempt actually used a Mario of my own. He's got a strong smash attack that lets him get some early kills. At the end of the battle, I was stuck in a pretty tight spot, but a baseball rolled towards me at just the right time for me to grab it and finish the job. Battle number 21, Jigglypuff. Battle number 33, Lloyd. With Jigglypuff unlocked, auto-scrollers are much less of a concern. Rollout lets you take off at Mach speed, hitting anyone that's unfortunate enough to stand in your way. Additionally, being a neutral B attack, Rollout can be used mid-air to get over obstacles. The only drawback is that if you hit a wall too quickly, you'll face the wrong direction. That's not terribly uncommon, and it'll likely take a few tries before getting an attempt where neither a wall or the opponent turns you around. Eventually though, you'll pull out a win. Battle number 40, Just Belmont. Since the floor is lava, all of your fighting should take place on one of the 3 small platforms. With such limited space though, you're almost guaranteed to fall off, especially considering how many ranged attacks Belmont has. Play as defensively as possible, time your neutral Bs and aerials, and with enough luck and attempts, Belmont will play the worst Smash Bros of his life. Battle number 43, Kamek. The enemies seem to like keeping their distance with the Star Rod, making Jamonathan pretty useless most of the time, and the stage choice isn't exactly doing us any favors. I could keep banging my head against the wall until I luck out, but I've got a better idea. If range is an issue, why not use a projectile? Out of our options, Lucario is the best choice. His Aura Sphere took out the first 2 Kameks, and when things were looking a bit grim, his final smash charged up to beat the others. Battle number 45, Leaf Fire Emblem. Jamonathan's usually powerful attacks are pretty mediocre against Leaf. I fully expected to spend way longer on this fight given how many times I got slashed off the map, but a well-timed stage morph gave me the golden opportunity to hit Leaf into the Blast Zone. Battle number 49, Ho-Oh. Yikes. Ho-Oh absolutely annihilates us while we deal pitiful damage. It doesn't help that we often won't get any hits in the first place because of Ho-Oh's Fire Breath. To win, we need a bit of a power boost. I decided to upgrade and equip the Primal Groudon Spirit, which both made me stronger and resistant to the ever-present fire. On top of that, I tried out a new fighter, Peach. With her counter, we can stall for time until the stage morphs into its fire variant. Once that happens, pray that Ho-Oh will walk into a pillar of flames and get pinballed around to its death. Battle number 50, Giga Bowser. This is the first boss fight we encounter. I actually spent a solid hour and a half on this fight prior to getting Primal Groudon, but my power level was just too low. With Groudon though, this battle is a cakewalk. Using Jigglypuff, start the battle by getting in as many rollouts as possible. Those will deal massive amounts of damage, but eventually you'll be pushed back to the ledge. When that happens, jump up to use Nairs, then re-grab the ledge, getting in a rollout if possible. After just a few attempts, you'll be good to go. Battle number 51, Kapp'n. There's strong winds, and if we get sent even the slightest bit airborne, we're screwed. I spent a long time trying to take down Cap'n without getting hit, but that's quite unlikely given how far away we are from hitting him into the right blast zone. Luckily, strategy is stupid, and I won when Cap'n jumped behind me and hit me with an attack that didn't launch me, just turned me around. That provided the perfect positioning to hit Cap'n to the left, giving him no chance at survival. Battle number 66, Dr. Mario. The battle itself is completely uninteresting, but what happens after it is notable. With 10 fighters awakened, we now have access to the DLC characters. Battle number 68, Springman. Say hello to Kazuya. He likely has the best method of grounded movement we have, his jab. Not to mention, he also has a great smash attack and even a strong ranged attack in his neutral B. But what really elevates him above other fighters is that he will automatically face the opponent. As for how he fares against Springman, well, it was a close one. I was still learning how to use Kazuya effectively, and I nearly died on several occasions. Ultimately, I was able to win first try by locking Springman into my jabs. Battle number 74, Jeff. Assist trophies can cause a lot of problems whenever they pop up. Dealing with 3 Inklings with guns would be hard enough, but throw in some homing rockets and you've got a recipe for disaster. When Jeff is out, you better hope that there's some sort of cover above you. With the distance the enemies like to keep, the windows to hit them will be few and far between. Make every chance count, and you might maybe manage to squeak out a win while you're at what will most likely be a ludicrously high percentage. Battle number 75, Hal Emmerich.
Ready? Go!
Battle number 81, Latios and Latios. I've watched this clip like 20 times, I still have no clue how I won. My best guess is that Latios killed itself and I got a cheeky kill on Latios. Regardless, I'm incredibly skilled. Battle number 82, Pocket Football Player. Fun tidbit about Kazuya, he will never change directions if there's more than one opponent still alive. This was another rare situation where I opted to go with Lucario over my standard picks. We have to fight through 11 tiny enemies that are so tiny that Kazuya can't get any good hits and will probably fall off at some point. Lucario, on the other hand, can easily hold off the horde with Aura Spheres and maybe even play a bit of soccer along the way. Battle number 98, Deep Breathing. The last thing I wanted to see was 4 constantly healing Wii Fit trainers with jacked up defenses, but here we are. Jamonathan and Kazuya both get slaughtered by the sheer quantity of attacks being thrown out, so I decided to give Jigglypuff a go. The battle got off to a good start, with Puff getting a handful of rollouts in on one particular trainer to grab a quick kill. Soon, though, I found myself at the right side of the stage, facing the wrong way to roll back towards the center. But I realized that this was actually a pretty decent place to be. Despite the trainers being at a low percentage, here I could lure them in front of me, then launch them a short distance into the nearby blast zone with a neutral air, which Puff is quite well suited for. Battle number 101, Pauline. Pauline is the only required kill in this fight, but she likes to flee from you. To make matters worse, the stage is absolutely horrible for all of our movement methods, giving us practically no chance to catch up with Pauline if she tries to run. Oh, and there's a time limit, as well as 2 other fighters trying to screw us up. This seems like an impossible scenario, but I'm not entirely out of ideas. We clearly need to win through projectiles, and the only character I can think of that can reach that far and still deal meaningful damage is Byleth with her bow. Unfortunately, Pauline isn't nearly stupid enough to let us snipe at her, so that strategy seems like a dud too. This should be the right train of thought though. Perhaps instead of relying on a specific character, we can take advantage of one of the many spirits we've unlocked that allow us to begin the battle with a ranged weapon. The best option? Cupid. This lets us start with the staff, a weapon that increases in power the farther away you are from the opponent. I think you see where this is headed. Battle number 134, 9V and 18V. Here's another tricky assist trophy, Sheriff. All it does is shoot some bullets, but those bullets are strong and it'll typically try to aim at you. You'll never get the chance to recover due to that. Along with the fact that there's 2 opponents to kill, things look real bad. I thought maybe Peach's counter could help, but I didn't have much success with that strategy. To get past her, we need to throw all skill out the window and just wait until all the stars align. Battle number 141, Dr. Wily. If you thought other Horde battles were bad, you've seen nothing yet. We only have 145 stamina, that's with the help of spirits, and we have to beat 8 of Wily's robots. Those robots have 100 stamina each, they use almost exclusively projectiles, and we have to fight them in groups of 2. Long story short, no fighters we've used so far stand a chance. We need someone who can easily deal massive damage to a wide area around them and also remain relatively safe while attacking. No one fits that bill better than Pyra. Her neutral B is absolutely explosive, with the trade-off of having to charge it up a bit before letting it fly. Her other moves are really great too. Her main drawback is her lack of mobility. Her best options for moving around only work while grounded and are incredibly slow. Mobility isn't a huge concern right now though, just survival. And she survives very well. It only takes a few tries with her to bust through the robots and then defeat Dr. Wily, who's stranded all alone. Battle number 142, Galeem. As far as bosses go, this is a walk in the park. Kazuya has a field day on any completely flat stages, and this one is no different. Battle number 150, the boss. In complete contrast, this is an incredibly difficult stamina battle against an opponent with 180 health, as well as a defense buff that activates a little later in the match. Kazuya was able to deal the most damage before dying out of any of the fighters, but unfortunately, he can never win. The boss's final smash will always activate when she has around 40 to 50 HP remaining, and that final smash equals an instant death. Its final hit is guaranteed to knock you off stage, and Kazuya is as good as dead without aerial movement. If our best one-on-one fighter can't win, we'll have to resort to completely shameless Kirby cheese. Before trying this strategy, make sure you've bought the extra mid-air jump upgrade from the skill tree for better odds of winning. This will take a bit of luck, but if you get lightly hit off stage, the boss may be moronic enough to try to follow you and enter the range of suck. From there, just fall and wait for her to escape Kirby's mouth. Use all of your remaining jumps while hoping that the boss isn't capable of recovery, and if everything's worked out, then she'll hit the bottom blast zone mere moments before you do. Battle number 117, Nina. This is a bit of a similar situation to Pauline, where the stage just doesn't lend itself to chasing around an enemy without directional inputs. The staff doesn't work nearly as well here, but that's alright. Jigglypuff handles the temple pretty decently, and you can immediately rush down Nina with rollout to finish the battle as fast as possible. Battle number 175, Mario Tennis Aces. Battle number 176, Great Fairy. Great Fairy can send you off land with ease, while you need to build up enough damage to take her out normally. Twice. After making too much progress, she'll heal by a substantial amount. Alternatively, you could do this. I'll take it. Battle number 185, Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion. We're up against 3 fully powered opponents that are pulling no punches. Before you've even formed a plan to beat them, you'll already be falling to your demise. I tried a lot of our possibilities, but no one seemed to stand a chance. None except for Pyra. You didn't quite get to see her full potential when she was facing metal enemies in the Dr. Wily fight, but she absolutely annihilates anyone who steps in the path of her sword, sending them flying. Still though, I had no expectations to use her very frequently. I mean, how good can a character with such poor mobility options be? Battle number 192, Copper and Booker. When this series of events happened, that's when I had my realization. I should have been using Pyra a long time ago. Who cares if you can't move when anyone that comes near you will just die anyways? Pyra will undoubtedly be taking over as our main fighter, and sadly makes Germonathan completely obsolete. Battle number 196, Condor. That said, she's not always an automatic win button. For example, Pyra isn't great when the main enemy of a battle likes to avoid conflict, but we have so many other solutions for that. In this case, I decided to go with Simon. Honestly, playing this game without moving has been really strange, so it's refreshing that I can still play Simon the same way as always. Battle number 209, Geno. Other times, Pyra will be the best option, but still struggle. No matter your power, when a handful of strong opponents gang up on you, it'll take a couple dozen tries before you get lucky enough to stay on the stage the whole match. Like I've implied, Pyra can't recover, so try to get as many enemies in each attack as you can so as to not leave yourself vulnerable. With enough persistence, everything soon went according to plan. Battle number 232, Victini. If Victini hits you with a final smash, you'll be launched clean off the stage with no hope of recovering regardless of where you were hit. You'll need to perfectly time an air dodge to avoid Victini's grab, but if you're successful in that, then the rest of the fight can proceed as normal. Battle number 256, Dawn. Dawn begins the battle while holding a very scary item, the hammer. One of the other modifiers in this fight is that he can swing it for a long time, so any attempts at avoiding the hammer were quickly thwarted. We'll need to face it head on. Battle number 268, Vega. What would otherwise be an easy fight is made pretty tough by the existence of Vega's side special. This thing will pick you up and drag you to your death, and this particular AI seems to favor it. And I mean really, really favor it, so make sure never to get hit by that attack. Battle number 269, Sagat. This is a very hard-hitting spirit that also has great defenses thanks to super armor. He won't even flinch from our strongest blows. Pyra is completely invalidated here since Sagat can attack straight through neutral B, so we'll go with Kazuya for his instantly threatening smash attacks that don't rely on multiple hits. Through a combination of those and lasers, winning is far from impossible. And just so that I don't have to bring it up every time we run into a fighter with super armor, Kazuya is better than Pyra for most of those situations. Battle number 274, Dungeon Man. Jigglypuff likely would have won this fight with little difficulty, but I decided to try out Little Mac, who can sort of emulate rollout with his own neutral B. And Jesus, that's a powerful fist. Needless to say, he makes this fight a simple affair. Battle number 292, Dintos. All the destructive items make this a very luck-reliant battle, and one bad item placement can mean certain death. Hammers are especially troublesome, as we've seen before, and they don't get any easier to deal with when there's bombs scattered about. Eventually, you may be fortunate enough to snag a hammer of your own, in which case you just have to hope that something works out. Which it did. Battle number 294, Pegasus Sisters. I hate this spirit with a passion. There's 3 of the sisters, and they're all capable of easily swiping you off the stage. Plus, you can't even grab the ledges after getting knocked off because the cloud platforms don't have grabbable ledges. Pyra also doesn't get many opportunities to use her neutral B due to how active the AI is in this fight, as well as the solid range of their swords. Despite how close I got with Pyra several times, I always got killed 1 or 2 hits before I could seal the deal. So if Pyra can't win, perhaps her predecessor can. Whoever said Jamonathan was obsolete? Oh, right, yeah, that was me. Let's run through this successful attempt, because this was a bit of an emotional roller coaster. The battle began with a strong blow on 2 of the sisters. That was immediately followed up with Jamonathan falling off the stage because I suck. But a moving platform appeared just in time to save Jamonathan. On that platform, I was able to finish off the sisters I hit previously. From there, it was a 1v1. The final sister got a hold of a couple scary items, but thankfully didn't make much use of them. Jamonathan got knocked into the perfect position to bump her off the stage with a nair, and finished the job with his burning blade. Battle number 298, Tiki. Our actual opponent isn't the main problem, but rather Tiki herself, the assist trophy. Marth is just kinda there. Tiki has a massive fire breath attack that will blow you off the stage if you don't take care to avoid it as much as possible. I decided that Kazuya would be better than Pyra since he can try to stick to the center of the stage. If your shield manages to withstand Tiki's entire onslaught, victory is practically assured. Battle number 309, Bullet Bill. The Bullet Bill item is a tricky one to deal with. It completely ignores shields and has a fair bit of knockback. When I was put into this position right by the blast zone with an enemy slowly approaching me holding a bullet bill, I was clearly screwed. Except the item just wasn't used and was instead graciously dropped right by my feet, giving me the most undeserved win imaginable. Battle number 312, Shine Sprite. You're essentially guaranteed to get hit by the final smash that the Shine Sprite starts with due to how much area it covers, so make sure to get as close to center stage as possible to stay safe from the blast zone. After surviving, you'll just have to fend off any danger until the Shine Sprite is knocked out, which is the only required kill. Battle number 335, Funky Kong. And we are right back to playing with bullet bills. Last time we had the luxury of no bottom blast zones and absolutely horrendous AI, but now we're on a pretty standard stage with semi-competent AI. All that can save us if we fall is a barrel cannon that scrolls back and forth. Of course, it won't always be in the right spot to save us, even if we can stall a bit. That becomes painfully clear as I try to get a successful attempt for the next hour, always coming close to victory, but never close enough. I tried many characters, but the problem ultimately boils down to the fact that 3 enemies with bullet bills on a stage like this are bound to screw you up eventually, unless you finish the fight as fast as possible. I thought Little Mac could be good for this with his neutral beat, but you're kind of just a sitting duck when charging it up. It also doesn't help when stuff like this happens. Finally, I decided on Kazuya. His raw power and mid-air stalling abilities seemed like just the thing we needed. Not to mention, he can sometimes avoid the knockback of bullet bills by using the super armor on his smash attack. After a dozen more attempts with him, things were looking up. Diddy Kong attacked with a bullet bill, but Kazuya turned the tables with his super armor to take out Funky Kong instead, which was followed by Diddy apparently not knowing how to recover from offstage. That just left me in a one-on-one with Donkey Kong, and that's where Kazuya shines. He powered through a couple more bullet bills until landing the finishing blow. Battle number 344, Blooper. This battle has us take out 3 small squids under a time limit, and they don't like attacking or getting near us. Pyra is naturally pretty crappy in a situation like this, but Kazuya also struggles a bit. If a blooper hides on the right edge, his laser isn't able to hit it. Unexpectedly, I brought out Lucario again. It's always the Inklings we need him for, huh? His Aura Sphere recoil allows him to drop off the platform and hit any bloopers that may be trying to hide. I cut it close, but won just in time. Battle number 347, Emperor Bullbacks. This thing is a beast. Massive health, hitboxes, and knockback, along with super armor, and you've got the perfect recipe to make a tough fight. A single hit from the Emperor can spell disaster, so don't let your guard down no matter how much you're winning by. The strategy? Bang your head against the wall until the AI decides to be nice. He'll either murder you with no mercy, or just knock you around the stage a bit with low knockback moves. The latter is, of course, preferable. Battle number 366, Zelda Breath of the Wild. In order to win this fight, we have to first battle the champions of Hyrule. Most of them are no issue, but Daruki Kong can create giant tornadoes that get in the way. They're far from difficult to avoid, but we have to be mindful of them. Once we get past those 4, we're on to Link and Zelda. This is an incredibly annoying combination with all the projectiles they have. My first 2 attempts that reached them, they managed to knock me off stage, but the 3rd time was the charm. Battle number 368, Rathalos. This is the end of the Light Realm's main trifecta of bosses, and isn't any more difficult than the past 2. Technically, I did get defeated once, but that's only because I forgot to change to Kazuya. With him, it's just a matter of getting in many big hits to kill Rathalos before you die yourself, which I achieved pretty comfortably. Battle number 369, Master Hand. We finished that group of 3 bosses, but that's far from all the bosses in this game. Master Hand is a recurring mini-boss, and it is surprisingly easy, likely due to how obviously telegraphed its attacks are. There's one last boss in the Light Realm, though, and that one really ups the ante. Battle number 370, Galeem. Galeem poses the biggest threat of any fight we've seen yet. He constantly teleports around the stage and has attacks that cover most of the screen, completely invalidating most characters. In theory, this should be Kazuya Laser the movie, but there's flaws in that plan. Sure, he'll automatically turn towards Galeem, who's a pretty easy target for his lasers, but the stage we're on is the real killer. It's not a walk-off stage like most bosses Kazuya fights. He's had success on standard stages before despite his lack of horizontal recovery, but those have all been short fights. Over the course of a whole boss battle, he'll certainly fall off eventually. Galeem can knock you pretty far away too, so even some of our more niche recovery options aren't all that viable. There's only one character we have unlocked that can withstand Galeem, and that's Jigglypuff. If you remember back in the Giga Bowser fight, Jigglypuff was able to make it back to the stage using Rollout, and that's no different here. This boss still won't be anywhere close to a freebie, but she's our best bet. Before actually beginning the fight, I've also equipped spirits that let me resist fire and explosion attacks, increase my shield's durability, and reflect projectiles by getting a perfect shield. Who knows, could come in handy. With that all sorted out, let's really get into this. Puff's main method of attacking will be with her Nair. It covers a very limited area around her, so patience is important. Wait for Galeem to come to you, and strike then. If you spot a really good opportunity though, Rollout can be used to get some more chip damage in. If you're standing on the very edge of one of the side platforms, jumping and using an uncharged rollout will put you in the perfect spot to grab the ledge to turn around. Now, how do you avoid each attack? Starting with the time bombs. The bombs that Galeem places will explode directly, horizontally, and vertically. Find a spot where the explosions won't kill you and get there as fast as possible. Sometimes the bombs will spawn on the same position on the x-axis as you. In that case, you can either move away as normal or use the safer option, eliminating them with a nair. Next, the Pillars of Light. This one is all about timing. The pillars will drop from the sky and drill right through you, but a well-timed air dodge will allow you to evade them. Third attack, the Energy Balls. Galeem will create a blue sphere and shoot it towards the middle of the stage, where it will then break into 4 smaller balls. Not getting hit by the initial splitting just forces you to be positioned correctly, but then the balls will home in on you. Shield any that you aren't confident in avoiding normally, and jump over the ones that you are. The last move Galeem has in Phase 1 is the easiest, the laser beams. Purple lines will appear indicating where the lasers will be, and you can either roll to safety or air dodge right through them. Galeem will enter Phase 2 after losing a bunch of his health, and that's where things get serious. All of his previous attacks are upgraded, and he gains a couple new ones. The first of the new moves is the creation of Light Fighters. Don't bother engaging with them, and stay far away when they decide to spontaneously combust. The much scarier trick he has is called Stationary Turret. Galeem's core separates into 3, and each part shoots several balls of fire. These can knock you around quite a bit, and sometimes are combined with the Light Fighters, meaning damage is sometimes unavoidable. Like I said, past attacks are also upgraded, which just means there's more of whatever Galeem throws at us. This mainly impacts the Energy Balls, which also move a bit more erratically now. You might have to think on the fly and get more creative with your dodging, but that's doable. And that's all. You may have noticed that no element of this fight is insanely difficult. That's true, but it's really just the length of the fight that makes you prone to mistakes. Sooner or later, though, we'll get the perfect attempt. Sure, that may have taken a little longer than it should have. 2 hours, but hey, who's counting? That just about wraps things up in the Light Realm. We have a couple more spirit battles that I missed, but those are all easy. However, we're only a little over halfway done. With Galeem defeated, the floodgates are open for a new villain, Darkon. He gives us access to the Dark Realm, the next chapter of our journey. Battle number 379, Crazy Hand. The Hand family really can't bother to be a challenge, can they? Just like Master Hand, this battle's a cinch. Battle number 382, Sita. Much like the Pegasus sisters that Jamonathan previously defeated, these two fighters can send you offstage in just a couple hits. Marth and Sita are even more resilient though, so Pyra's neutral B won't instantly delete them. We also have to forgo additional power in exchange for wind immunity, for obvious reasons. The biggest issue is the fact that the enemies have decent AI and will therefore try to overwhelm us with attacks, which isn't exactly difficult for them to do when we're sitting ducks. But luckily, no AI is perfect, as proven by whatever that was. With just Sita left on the battlefield, Pyra could fend her off and soon land a devastating smash attack. Battle number 387, Kraid. The big health bar may look intimidating, but that's really nothing for Pyra. Unfortunately, Pyra will rarely be able to get a hit in, as the giant Kraid won't usually get too close, and he can outrange Pyra. Kazuya, on the other hand... Battle number 390, Calamity Ganon. Why does this feel familiar? Battle number 421, Mecha Fiora. Time to try out a new character, Sonic. His homing attack is one of the best moves for this challenge. We actually saw this back in the Metal Sonic fight. It not only allows us to lock onto nearby opponents, but it also doubles as a recovery. Battle number 422, Akira. It's been a while since our last assist trophy fight, and this is the hardest one yet by a long shot. Both the fighter and trophy are incredibly aggressive and will rack up damage on us fast, and that's assuming we don't get pushed off the ledge first. Pyra and even Kazuya weren't able to pull out a win regardless of how close they got, so we're pulling out Little Mac. In theory, he's just a worse Kazuya, but I suspected that his quicker punches would be helpful when Akira likes to bombard us with attacks. I've also gotten an important upgrade on the skill tree that gives us super armor when charging a smash attack. This allows us to easily get a fully charged smash attack, and 2 of those can take out the assist trophy. Once you enter the one-on-one, hide at the edge of the stage in your shield. Akira will typically approach with side B, which you can first shield, then jump over. In this position, jab as much as possible. Around 30 HP remaining, Akira will get his final smash, but through a lucky footstool I managed to stop him from ever using it. Battle number 433, Dark Emperor. Battle number 438, Ganon. Just as there's a trio of bosses in the Light Realm, the Dark Realm has its own trio, starting with Ganon. This boss is unique in the sense that hitting him won't always do damage. The only part we can hit him that will actually hurt is the tail. This is a job for Kazuya, as Pyra is completely invalidated from landing a single blow. Kazuya gets plenty of damage dealing opportunities though, since he'll always face the tail. His laser unfortunately won't hurt the tail if it shoots through Ganon, but that's alright, he won first try anyways. Battle number 449, Omega Ridley. This is where Sonic can really prove his worth. Every attempt of this with Pyra tended to boil down to that, but Sonic can take the initiative and charge spines first into Omega Ridley, constantly piling on the damage until he pricks Ridley to death. Battle number 480, Dracula. It's rare for bosses outside of Galeem to be particularly threatening, but Dracula took a few tries. This boss is made up of two phases. In the first phase, Dracula can only be harmed by hitting his head. Lasers are Kazuya's best tool for this, but once in a while Dracula will teleport close enough to be hit by a neutral air. That phase is quite easy, but try to get through undamaged by shielding every attack, because the second phase has some crazy high knockback on most moves. During Dracula's transformation, charge up a smash attack to deal a devastating amount of damage at the very start of the phase, followed by another uncharged attack. That's already half his health gone, and lasers will be able to chip away at him for the remainder of the fight, even if you're some kind of idiot that gets hit by every single attack. Couldn't be me. Battle number 488, Amy. The problem in this fight is the abundance of hammers. We've dealt with them before, but not to this degree. Not only are there a bunch of hammers, but Amy is able to hold onto them for longer than usual and begins the match with one. Our goal is to stall out the initial hammer with lasers and then race Amy to any new hammers that spawn. If she ever beats you to one, return to lasers. With any luck, you'll be able to chip away at Amy until she gets pounded into the blast zone. Battle number 510, Zant. At the start of the battle, Zant holds a Pokeball containing an Abra. If that thing manages to pick you up, you'll be as good as dead since it teleports you off stage. Ignore Zant during the first half of the fight, and instead focus on air dodging past Abra. Once the Pokemon leaves after 15 seconds or so, Zant will be a free kill. Battle number 520, Azura. Azura is a test in how well you can avoid final smashes. Or how lucky you are with avoiding them anyways. Azura will suddenly get a final smash at certain points in the battle, and after using one, she gets an extra second chance. She'll also get another batch of them if we don't kill her fast enough. One final smash connecting will likely send you off stage, and in my case, I had to dodge 4 of them consecutively before I could snag a win. Azura isn't consistent at all when it comes to when she decides to let her final smashes fly, so spamming the air dodge button is the optimal strategy. Battle number 550, Dark Matter. At first, this seems like a standard stamina battle, but when the Nightmare Assist trophy pops up, the screen will go black. During this time, you'll have to make all of your decisions based on sound cues and particle effects, which are still visible. Thankfully, the darkness isn't permanent, so this only took a few tries. Battle number 555, Marks. While Marks isn't exactly a pushover, he's the easiest of the Dark Realm's bosses. Most attacks can be shielded through, and while some damage is unavoidable, such as his Black Hole move, Marks is lacking in kill power and can be easily sniped by lasers. With him defeated, we have almost completed the Dark Realm. You probably picked up on the fact that this section was a lot shorter than the Light Realm, and that's because I didn't want this video to get any more repetitive than it probably already is. Any fights I don't discuss just come down to. That, however, is far from how the next fight goes. Battle number 556, Darkon. And I thought Galeem was bad. Darkon's fight is very similar to Galeem, but with double the difficulty and even more chaos. Thankfully, we have a bit more firepower than Jigglypuff this time around, as Sonic is built for this kind of battle with his homing attack. He's far from a perfect solution for problems I'll discuss in a moment, but first, let's talk about how to manage all of Darkon's attacks. He can fire a barrage of bullets at you after transforming into this form. Only try to block these if you're a decent distance away, otherwise your shield will get obliterated. If you're too close to shield, either jump over it, or use the invincibility you get from grabbing the ledge. When neither of those are an option, then you can resort to shielding to minimize damage taken. Next, Darkon has his own form of bombs, this time in an X shape. It will sometimes come down to luck whether or not it's even possible to avoid these. Look for any safe zones and make your way to them as fast as you can. Onto his centipede attack. One of his tentacles slithers around the screen with his eye attached to the end of it, allowing you to squeeze in a bit of damage during this move. Your best bet is dodging the centipede entirely, but shielding can get the job done sometimes, but it's unpredictable whether or not that will work. His final move in this phase has him slashing across the screen in another X shape and creating a strip of red that will slow you down if you enter it. That red strip isn't a huge deal, so just watch out for the slash. Entering phase 2, he gains a couple new attacks, just like Galeem. One of those is identical to Galeem's, but with dark fighters, but the other is completely unique. Trans-dimensional Rush. He sends his tentacles through a series of portals, and may necessitate some well-timed air dodges if the portals spawn in unfavorable positions. And, once again, previously used moves will also become more powerful. A new giant blast was added at the end of the bullet move, which can be blocked just fine. The tentacle centipede doubles in length, so shielding is now guaranteed to not fully protect you, and finally, one extra bomb gets placed during that particular move. That's everything, so what is it that makes Darkon so much worse than Galeem? Well, a common trend in all these attacks is inconsistency. Sometimes you'll get bad bomb patterns, sometimes you'll get bad bullet patterns. Worst of all, Darkon will randomly teleport around the stage. But that happened with Galeem too, right? Yes, but that's more of an issue when we want to finish the fight quickly in order to limit the amount of luck we need. With Galeem, just about everything was under our control, and we could afford to be patient with Jigglypuff. Here though, playing as Sonic, we gotta go fast and take more risks. And that's when a flaw of the homing attack becomes very apparent. If we miss and end up offstage, that's the end of the attempt. We have no way of making it back. Missing could be due to the teleporting, which is the most common cause, but the homing attack could fail for a number of reasons. We need to strike the right balance of playing it safe and getting risky, but if we can do that, then victory is within our grasp. After 3 hours, the winning attempt finally arrived, bringing the Dark Realm to a close. We just have a little under 60 more enemies standing in our way, only a few of which are worth mentioning, until the World of Light as a whole is finished. Let's head into the last area, the final battle. Battle number 565, Master Hand 2. I bring this battle up not because it was very difficult, but because I forgot to switch to Kazuya when it started. I figured I was screwed with Pyra, but I actually managed to make her work just fine. I guess we should keep her in mind for boss fights then. Battle number 571, Fierce Deity Link. We're easy to launch in this fight, and one wrong hit from Fierce Deity Link can... oh, never mind. Battle number 590, Solgaleo. When the match starts, the fake Solgaleo will come out of a Pokeball, and your main priority should be shielding or air dodging through the beams of light it shoots at you. It will shoot 3 of these before retreating. If you fail to dodge even one of them, you're dead. The real Solgaleo is no slouch either. It's got some incredible launch power. On my successful attempt, it managed to knock me off, but I had whittled down its health enough that I could end things with one last snipe before Kazuya's own demise. Battle number 598, Gigamac. This guy's got just about everything you need to make one impossibly difficult fighter. He deals a ton of damage, has a ton of health, and even has super armor. That super armor is the real problem. It invalidates nearly anyone. Even our strongest moves can just be powered through and interrupted. Come to think of it, we had a situation pretty similar to this a while ago, all the way back in battle number 49, Ho-Oh. Back then we used Peach's counter to turn the enemy's attacks against them, so why not try the same here? In fact, she's even better than before thanks to her final smash, and all the upgrades we've gotten from spirits and the skill tree to enhance that final smash. Most notably, the ability to use 2 final smashes and the gravitational pull we have on items. Peach's final smash puts the opponent to sleep and causes a bunch of healing items to spawn, so that's perfect. After a few tries, I got lucky with counters and managed to golf Gigamac into oblivion. Battle number 611, the Light and Dark Fighters. Now, at long last, we've reached the part of the game we get to play as Master Hand. I cannot wait to wreak some havoc with him. Let's take a look at the moves we can use. Alright, his neutral air is a snap that damages fighters and puts them into a confused state. It doesn't launch them, though. How about our special move? Okay, it shoots a bullet. That seems useful, but given our position on the stage, it's pretty rare that someone will actually be hit by it. They would have to jump into it. Unfortunately, Master Hand is stationary even when he's attacked, so it's not like he can be pushed into a more favorable spot. So those two are duds. What else is at our disposal? Oh, I bet the smash attack is good. Smash attack? Why isn't it working? Oh no. I get it now. Master Hand flies. Smash attacks can only be used on the ground, as is the case with jabs and grabs. We only have 2 usable moves. In short, over half our typical options just don't exist, and the ones we're left with are garbage. We could probably make do with just our finger gun if we had infinite health. Alternatively, if the fighters also had to use stamina instead of the standard percent-based system, the snap would allow us to win. But since neither of these are the case, this fight is straight up unwinnable. After a couple hours of attempts, the best I managed to do was defeating 6 fighters out of 50. The fighter's AI isn't great, but it will never be bad enough to close that gap. Even changing the difficulty to very easy was unhelpful. Spirits in the skill tree have no effect on Master Hand, so no shenanigans can be done there. With no gimmicks at our disposal, we have one option: moving the left stick. I held right and spammed A to continually use forward air, giving us the win. With one directional input weighing us down, we can conclude that it is not possible to complete Super Smash Bros. Ultimate without moving. And I'm okay with that. Of course, it sucks that we got so far, just steps away from the final boss, only to end in failure. But if you never fail, the victories won't feel quite as special. After failure, you have a choice. You could give up, or you could pick yourself off the ground and keep pushing forwards towards your goal. Yeah, let's go with that one. 3 more obstacles stand in our way. Rematches with Galeem and Darkon, and one last challenge. Without further ado, let's end this. Battle number 612. Oh shoot, I forgot Richter. Let's try that again. Battle number 613, Galeem 2. Galeem's first phase in this fight is essentially a mix of the first and second phases of our past match with Galeem. He has all his moves except for the ability to summon light fighters. This first phase is quite easy, however, as Sonic gets to fight Galeem this time. No Jigglypuff needed. Phase 2 gets tricky. Galeem gets the light fighters and a few more attacks, starting with the waves of light. How dangerous these are highly dependent on luck. Sometimes a somewhat stationary Sonic can avoid all damage, but other times you'll have to perfectly air dodge through the waves because they can't be shielded against. Vertical waves are the worst. You'll just have to air dodge past as much damage as you can. Preferably, you would just get the horizontal waves. The last 2 moves are incredibly threatening. Number 1, the exploding ball. It will slowly home in on you and cause a massive explosion either on contact or after a few seconds, and this explosion also can't be shielded. You are probably gonna get hit by this and suffer the consequences. It'll launch you far off the stage. You need to really luck out to be in a position where you can dodge this, and luck out even more if you do get hit in order to survive. For me, that luck came in the form of Galeem floating in my direction after I was blown to the right of the stage while facing the wrong way. Sonic was able to home onto Galeem and bounce back to safety. Lastly, the Rings of Light. 2 highly deadly rings will start expanding from random points on the screen. And you'll never guess, they can't be shielded. Your only choice is air dodging through. You'll have to improvise the air dodge based on where these rings spawn. Sometimes you'll dodge through both at the same time, and other patterns will have you avoid them separately. Overall, despite the apparent difficulty increase in the rematch compared to our first Galeem encounter, this fight is easier than last time thanks to the improved consistency of Sonic over Puff. Battle number 614, Darkon 2. Same deal as Galeem. The old Phase 2 is the new Phase 1. Repeat all the past strategies and make your way to the second half of the fight. He has the same fighters and waves as Galeem, just in a dark form. The other 2 attacks he gets are much less problematic than Galeem's. His piercing tentacles can be easily air dodged past. His Pillars of Darkness aren't actually all that easy to avoid, but you can sort of kind of protect yourself by spamming shield or by moving around with the homing attack, and it doesn't do a ton of damage anyways. Strangely, it only took 20 minutes to get a win here despite how much I struggled with the original fight. I guess I just got really used to Darkon's attack patterns. With both bad endings achieved, take a deep breath and prepare yourself for the longest and toughest challenge World of Light has to offer. Battle number 615, Galeem and Darkon. This battle is split into 3 distinct segments, with a checkpoint placed in between each of them, allowing us to mix up any characters and spirits after each segment to whatever's best suited for any particular section. The first part involves platforming, with periodic fights with light and dark fighters in between. The spirits I chose are the Shine Sprite, increasing the power of special moves, and Ho-Oh, who gives us an additional mid-air jump. Combined with the extra jump I got off the skill tree, we can jump a grand total of at least 4 times, regardless of character. Speaking of characters, we want the most powerful ones we can get. Horizontal movement doesn't matter much despite the required platforming when we can jump so high, but I'd say it's most important at the beginning. With that in mind, I chose Kazuya to go first, Pyra second, and the anchor of the team, our old friend Jonathan. So what exactly are the specifics of this segment? Well, there's 4 different auto-scrolling platforming areas, each paired with an increasingly difficult horde battle. During every platforming challenge after the first, Galeem or Darkon will try to interrupt you in some way, whether that be by shooting tentacles to destroy platforms and knock you around, or to engage you in their full form to push you to one side of the screen. If they're successful in pushing you too far, you can lose an attempt really quickly. It basically guarantees losing 2 of your characters. Do everything in your power to fend them off by attacking their weak points with your strongest moves. Sometimes you'll be provided with a jetpack, which buffs up our already impressive vertical jump to the extreme, and lets us survive any position we may be knocked into by the tentacles or pillars of light. As for the fighting, come on, I think you get the picture of how we approach combat at this point. So that's all we need to know. Now all that's left is to pull off a full run. Kazuya begins by plowing through Phase 1 with barely a scratch. In Phase 2's platforming, he just barely manages to hold off Darkon with 2 smash attacks and a nair. He restores himself back to 0% with a tomato after getting a bit beat up in the second Brawl and picks up a nearby jetpack. The jetpack carried him all the way to the third fight where things finally went south. I decided to play a bit more defensively, and that backfired when Zero Suit Samus grabbed Kazuya and chucked him off stage. Once Pyra arrives, she mops up the remaining fighters and enters the last platforming area. Her incredible power lets her temporarily beat up Galeem, but a few moments later, one of the Pillars of Light sent her into a really tough spot, where she was just slightly too far to the right to continue climbing, and instead got bombed into the blast zone. That just left Jonathan, ready to prove that he still had some fight left in him even after he was removed from the spotlight by Pyra. He grabbed a jetpack and flew all the way to his final show. Galeem had gotten him up to 60%, but there was no way he was getting pushed aside again. He fought those light and dark clones until all that was left was one more Rob, which was no match for his proper positioning and powerful neutral air. Segment number 1, complete. Next up, a boss rush against the trios from both the light and dark realms, making for 6 bosses in a row we have to beat with just 3 fighters and a couple health restoring items. Bosses have never been a big problem though, so I don't imagine this will be so bad. I swapped around the order of Pyra and Kazuya and changed the final character to Sonic. To select which boss to fight, we just have to hit the orb containing that boss. I didn't have much of a plan for who would fight who, I just knew that I wanted to avoid fighting Ganon with Pyra and that Sonic would be the best for Giga Bowser. So first up, Dracula. Considering the position we start the battle in, the best opportunity to hit him is when he reappears after turning into a bunch of bats. Nairs will do a lot of damage at first, but towards the end of Phase 1 they'll start getting stale, weakening them. Don't bother going for anything crazy though. Just be patient, shield every attack, and you'll be fine. Same deal for Phase 2. Block attacks, be careful when he tries to jump on you, and counterattack with Nair. But this time you can also throw in some neutral bees. If you did well, you'll barely be damaged leaving the fight. Second, marks. Damn it. Alright then, I guess we'll try fighting Ganon right now. Opportunities for Pyra to hit him are few and far between. After some attacks, he'll leave his tail exposed, and if you get lucky, you'll be in the right spot to take advantage of that. After you land a couple strong attacks, he'll be stunned, giving you a chance to rack up huge damage. The fight gets really slow from that point onwards, so just survive until you find an opening to pile on some hits. To my surprise, Pyra didn't do so bad here this time around. Okay, now it's time for marks. While waiting for a chance to get a clean hit on his orb, I learned that I wasn't even safe on the boss selection stage. After completing 2 bosses, some highly dangerous fireballs will start flying out of the boss orbs and home in on you. One of them almost killed Pyra, but she was thankfully launched to the center of the stage instead of off of it. They then proceeded to almost kill her again, but she survived that too. After all that, I did at least manage to hit Marks' orb. Pyra was doing quite well, until I forgot how many jumps I had and got her hit by a laser that knocked her off screen. That sealed her fate, and Kazuya spawned in, ready to avenge her. Marks and Galeem crumpled to his might, and Rathalos was next on the chopping block. Unfortunately, Rathalos had other plans. I got greedy by going for a smash attack near the edge of the screen and accidentally slipped onto the wrong side of Rathalos. The monster saw an opportunity and killed Kazuya as I tried to make my way back to the center. It's up to Sonic to finish the job. Rathalos was already pretty wounded, so Sonic had no troubles there. After healing back to full health, I prepared to hit Giga Bowser's orb. And apparently, the homing attack doesn't lock onto the orbs. That gave me quite the scare. I ended up taking a bit of extra damage. Not too significant an amount though. Let's try that again. Sonic used his neutral air on the orb and entered the Giga Bowser fight. Between his homing attack bouncing him back and getting knocked around by Bowser, Sonic ended up over the void many times, and each time was equally as stressful. Eventually, we both reached the point where one more hit could end it all. Each of us went in for the final blow, but Sonic was faster. Segment number 2, complete. There's just one last thing to do. Take out Galeem and Darkon at the same time. This sounds like an absolute nightmare, but we aren't nearly as screwed as it may seem. To make up for the fact that there's 2 of them, the bosses use weaker forms of their attacks. In addition, their attacks are just as capable of damaging each other as they do to you. That said, just because we get some luxuries, that doesn't mean we're sitting pretty. Dealing with 2 separate attack patterns at once still requires us to be on our game and have a strong roster to have any hope at survival. Now, what will that roster be? Well, I know we'll lead with Pyra and end with Sonic, but that middle fighter is a little less rigid, and plenty of characters could work. After a few hours of experimentation, I decided to go with Byleth. Their combination of a solid nair, long-ranged smash attack, and powerful bow seemed pretty well suited to this fight. That does mean we only have one fighter capable of horizontal movement in midair, but I figured the trade-off of more strength would make that worth it. As for spirits, this is the setup I started with. I thought it was fine at first, but after failing for several hours, a friend that I was streaming my gameplay to reminded me that I'm an idiot and should be using one of the most overpowered spirits in the game, Celebi. It takes up all 3 spirit slots, but every 5 seconds it heals 5%. This is a long fight, so that adds up over time. You'll usually be at 0% because of this, so Pyra and Byleth are absolutely the right choices. With everything in place, we're gonna take these 2 down once and for all. You know how to avoid their attacks by now. We just have to do both at once, and Celebi gives us some leniency in that. The best approach to take to this fight is actually to try to keep their health bars as even as possible, not to kill one of them really quickly. Once Galeem or Darkon are defeated, the surviving one will return to their full power and go all out on you. Keeping the weaker attacks around as long as possible is best. Once it is time to take one of them out, it's really up to preference who you want to fight at full power, but I'm most comfortable facing Darkon one-on-one. Alright, let's get to work. Pyra had a strong start, surviving for almost 5 minutes and dealing heavy damage to Galeem and getting Darkon down to half health before an explosive ball from Galeem sent her into the stratosphere. Byleth's turn. Byleth herself didn't actually do a ton this attempt other than staying alive, but that was enough for the 2 enemies to whittle each other down until Byleth could secure a killing shot on Galeem. She held up as best she could against a solo Darkon, but was soon blown off stage and KO'd, but not before getting one last arrow in his eye. This looks like a free win for Sonic at this point, but I can never get too cocky. Not after previous tries where I died seconds away from victory. Take absolutely 0 risks, and Sonic might just reach the finish line. And just like that, Segment 3, and by extension, the World of Light, is done. Can you complete Super Smash Bros. Ultimate without moving? No. Master Hand crushes any hopes we may have of a successful challenge. And yet, I almost feel like this challenge was successful anyways, just in a slightly unsuccessful way. It's hard to describe, but I'm happy with this. Anyways, emotion aside, I do want to mention a mistake I made. Despite the game and I saying there were 615 battles, there's actually 618 of them. I tried to take notes on every single battle, but I guess I forgot about 3 of them. My bad, though they clearly weren't very interesting fights if I forgot to write them down. What else? Oh, yeah, I haven't uploaded for a year. Whoopsies. Isn't having an inconsistent upload schedule part of the fun of this channel, though? Sometimes it takes 2 months, sometimes it takes a year for new content, and that's how things were always meant to be. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss my next upload in 2027. This has been Rockruff Ruins Games. Thanks for watching.